Welcome to another edition of Preps Plus Extra. How you doing? I'm Mark Stewart, prep editor of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. You know this guy, J.R. Ratcliffe, sports editor of Now Newspapers. How you doing?
I'm doing good. The Brewers are still in the playoff hunt, so I'm a happy man. And of course, we are now well into the prep football season. We're about to cross the halfway point. Midway through this week, we are halfway through the regular season already.
Yeah, and if at this point of the year, if you had to, kind of point to, I won't say a surprise or it's probably too strong to say the story of the year, but definitely probably one of the most surprising wins of the year last year was achieved by Muskego. And it's not that they beat Waukesha West, because I think most people knew Muskego had a lot of experience back, but to win 52-28 over a team that's pretty talented, said a lot for the Warriors. And I know you had a chance to talk with Coach Ken Krause earlier this week. What was the tone there?
Well, you ask him about a win like this, and kind of what I'm trying to get out of him is, well, did you see this coming? And he admitted that probably the score was surprising to him, the fact that they ended up racking up as many points as they did and winning by as much as they did. I don't know if anybody really foresaw that for Muskego, but he really feels like his program's been underrated to a degree, and it has, because I think we've kind of said this before, nobody's saying Muskego was untalented. Everyone knew that they were a team that had a lot back and could be a very good team, but in the Classic 8 conference, everybody is elite, at least in the top shelf of that league. So you wondered out loud, because we just haven't seen enough track record of Muskego in the Classic 8, if they could beat one of those teams. Well, they went ahead and did it. And they've beaten Waukesha West before. They did it a couple years ago when they got into the playoffs with literally no returning starters on the field. Their one returning guy had been injured for the season. So that was a heck of a coaching job by Krause then, and now he's got a team that just has a ton of different ball carriers, allows them to do a lot of different things on offense, even though they don't really pass the ball. And they've always racked up a lot of points. This has never been a team that's been handicapped on offense. It's just now they're really in some rare air, approaching with their 50, 40 some points per game. And this is clearly their signature win. And now it's just about, and he said this too, you can't take too many congratulations and sit on that, because there's so many other good teams in the Classic 8, and you just got to keep it going and beat Catholic Memorial, Arrowhead, Muskego, the other top teams in this league.
Yeah, and those are their final 3 games of the year.
Right.
This week they got Kettle Moraine, which is actually off to a 3-1 start. A few seconds away, maybe 90 seconds away from being 4-0. And the thing with Muskego and Ken Krause and his staff have sort of really kind of quietly these last couple of years really done a nice job, with teams that, maybe were in rebuilding mode or young. But as I was telling you off camera, I do the, rankings for the Journal-Sentinel, and, I shouldn't have said that. No, I'm just kidding. And a couple weeks ago I was thinking, okay, do I go with Muskego or this other team? And no guts, no glory.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. And, they come back and, I guess they prove it where you're ultimately supposed to.
Right.
They prove it on the field. So.
It's maybe a testament to the small sample of the high school football season that we don't get a lot of outcomes to really make judgments on. But for me, I looked at Muskego coming into this week as a fringe playoff team, a team certainly capable of beating one of those, like I always say, the top 4 in the Classic 8. Not sure if they can do it, but I think they're certainly capable. With a win like that over Waukesha West, knowing that Arrowhead has struggled this year to be 2-0, knowing that Catholic Memorial, is 1-1, having lost to Arrowhead, and Muskego lost to Waukesha West, the team that Muskego just beat. Now they've gone from fringe playoff team to are they the favorite in the Classic 8 conference? I certainly don't think you can discount the idea that this is a team good enough to win the league. So it's amazing how one outcome can really shift your perception about a team like it has with Muskego.
Right, and as Krause noted, there's, in this league you gotta, the good teams keep it going.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have a big win, last week. Okay, now we gotta see, can they keep it going against Kettle Moraine? But we touched on Arrowhead last week. While they had, 2 weeks ago, they had had to come back and beat Kettle Moraine. They did it again. Johnny Duranzo and his crew drove 64 yards in 5 plays in the final 2 minutes, and spoiled Bill Young's night. And,
yeah, no kidding.
Winning that game 24-21. We caught up with Johnny Duranzo and the man of the hour, Cody Selhausen, who scored the game-winning touchdown. Here's what they had to say about the win.
Well, the whole play was meant to go right, and I actually was meant to go right. I was supposed to have a check, and then I saw that there was no one there, and I don't know what made me. I just kept kind of going, and I faded right, and I was like, Johnny was looking right, and I had no idea if he was going to see me or not, and he turned and he started coming, and he threw the ball, and I'm like, holy cow, this is it. And it was like, the play must have been 8 seconds in my mind, and I was just thinking, don't drop it, don't drop it. And it was the craziest thing ever. I never would have expected it.
So it was kind of an on-the-fly adjustment.
It was, yes.
Yeah. Second week in a row, this team has had to come back. The offense has had to make a long drive to win the game. What is it about these guys do you think that helps you be so successful in these tight situations?
Well, the first thing, you got to keep the confidence level high. We always do in practice. We've done it all in practice. We've got 40 yards, you got 30 seconds down. We just keep doing it. And we just know we got to keep calm because it's nothing we've never done before. We always got to do it. And you always got to keep the confidence level high, keep them a little less nervous, and it'll be good.
Yeah, we came out a little flatter than we thought in the second half, but then we pulled it together in that last drive and just got the touchdown.
How are you feeling during those, in situations like that?
Just stay calm, trust my teammates, and just let it rip.
Well, as I noted before, that was a tough loss for Catholic Memorial and Bill Young, and there's after the game, he's Coach Young is such a competitive guy. He looks, you can kind of see the disgust on his face, and but really, and this has kind of been brought up before. You got to realize that these teams shouldn't even be playing each other in the regular in a conference game when you got a school like Arrowhead that's 2,200 plus, and Catholic Memorial right now is around 650 or so, at least according to the WIA website. I know I was at the area meeting earlier this week, and every year one of the interesting times is when the WIA executive staff asks, okay, any problems with conference alignment, and then a few schools will get up and they'll say, okay, we want to move here or there, and yesterday we had the Waukesha schools kind of reiterating their wish to be in the same league again. Port Washington, member of the North Shore, expressed its desire to be realigned out of the North Shore Conference. Milwaukee Lutheran, which did the same thing last year, Milwaukee Lutheran reiterated its request. Nicolet, they didn't really go as far as saying they want to move out of the North Shore for football only, but it is something that they are considering. And when I look at these, they're all it's all numbers. It's not everyone can be Catholic Memorial, and they probably make it look a little too easy.
Yeah.
And no, not everyone can be a Catholic Memorial and compete with these much larger schools all the time.
Right. Catholic Memorial, very unique situation in that they can compete with those bigger schools, still get into the playoffs, still having the winning record to get in the playoffs, and then they really turn it up against sort of the Division III schools that they're going to be matched up against enrollment-wise, more of a peer, and they routinely get deep into the playoffs because they've been battle tested during the regular season. Wisconsin Lutheran's another one that kind of makes it look too easy. In the Wisconsin Little 10, they're in with a bunch of bigger schools, but they've been able to compete. They have tremendous athletics programs. Football, it's different than other sports. I mean, I think most people know that follow prep sports closely, because you need a good regular season to get into the postseason. In all other sports, you get in no matter what, and then you're up against schools with your same enrollment, and you can kind of see where the cards fall. But in football, you have to have a good conference season to get into the playoffs. So teams that have been routinely struggling, and it's the same teams every year. I mean, there are exceptions, but year in and year out, the schools that you mentioned, they've struggled in their respective conferences. So I can understand why they're looking. I mean, at some point, you look at Nicolet and say they haven't been in the playoffs since 1989. I mean, this isn't a pro sports team that's had a bad general manager. I mean, they're getting different kids every year. Something's got to be working against them that isn't simply the school doesn't have the tradition. They've gone through different coaches, different athletic directors. I mean, at some point, the system isn't working for Nicolet or other schools that might be looking to realign. I think everybody in the area, us, the media, fans, onlookers, think that the Wisconsin Little 10 Conference is about to get blown up at some point. At some point, because the geography is so weird in that conference, you got teams traveling 40 miles to get to a regular season game on a Tuesday night. You're going to see that conference, when realignment hits the Milwaukee area, kind of get blown up, and that's going to have consequences for all the other conferences in the area. The Classic 8 will certainly be involved, the Greater Metro most likely, possibly the Woodland with the TOSA schools you mentioned. I see that as the most likely the most likely thing that's going to happen next. I don't know if that's exactly what's going to go down, but it sure seems like we're headed towards that. The glacier of realignment that is in the other parts of the state is going to hit this area soon.
Right, and that is one of the things that Deb Hauser of the WIA talked about earlier in the week, that this area is kind of, it's up next. That's the one she's going to be starting to work on. But the other thing when it comes to conference realignment and competitive equity in terms of football is the competitive equity committee. And I don't know if it makes any sense to really do a lot of realigning until we know what their plan is for
sure,
that.
yeah.
So that's just going to be one of those things we're just going to have to kind of keep an eye on and see how it develops, and go from there. But for right now, it's a tough deal for those schools.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Preps Plus Extra. For more Preps Plus action, you can watch me and Lance Allen every Sunday night on TMJ4. Take care.